Today's lesson is about those high, soft notes that so many singers find difficult. Moving from down here to up here, that's an octave, or an octave and a third, or an octave and a fifth, and sometimes an octave and another octave, so a double octave. I'm going to give you a couple of ways to think about that movement to make it more accessible, and what you want is something that's really reliable. So often when we're moving from one note to another, we don't think about the first note as being the launch pad, and it is. That first note needs to have some substance so that you can pull out of it, you can stretch out of it a pianissimo. At least this is one way that I think about it. Imagine that you have a handful of spaghetti, and the spaghetti is long, it starts here and it goes down here. So you're holding that handful in your hand. And the first note represents that full handful of spaghetti. When you move to the second note then, you're only going to pull a small handful of that spaghetti up, out of the major handful, but not right out of it, just up a bit. It's still grounded in that first handful, but you're pulling up a little bit of spaghetti, and that gives you your second note. So you're pulling a thread, or several threads of sound. The first note then is fairly substantial, mezzo forte, let's call it, for those of you who speak in those terms, or just medium loud. This is one of the exercises I use to practice pianissimo. And I'm shooting myself at this angle so you can see down into my mouth. Now I'm going to do an octave and a third. First note is fairly substantial. The second one then is going to be pulling threads out. An octave and a fifth. Now there are other elements involved in this too, probably quite a few of them that I'm not even aware of. But here's a couple more that I think about. My tongue is out of the way. It's not sitting high in my throat. You can see it fairly easily, I think, that it's low and out of the way. My lips are fairly taut around my teeth, and that helps the inside of my mouth to be a nice acoustic chamber for those upper notes. And another thing I think about when I move from a louder note to a quiet one is that the upper note is rather misty. The breath that creates that upper note, it's kind of like when you take your glasses off and you put them in your mouth and you blow on them. It's like creating a mist inside the mouth. The top notes that are quiet don't need a lot of breath, but they need the right kind of breath. So I'm going to do that again, one after another, and you'll pick up a lot of things without me telling you, if you just watch me. I'm thinking always of keeping it very quiet. There's a creation of a feeling inside my body, a kind of an emotion that allows me to sing pianissimo when I want to. Accessible pianissimos. I'm going to do one more move through this so that you can watch. I'm going to try for the double octave also. That one usually takes some singing to do very easily because you need your voice to be really grounded. But I'm going to do it here. So the octave, the third, the fifth, and then the double octave, which takes me to a high C. Now before I sing those kinds of wide pianissimi, I usually do some E stretches just to feel the strength of my voice. Yee, 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 yeah, yee, you. There are several other approaches that I use for pianissimos, and I'll write about them on my website. And I may do another video that will give you some insight into what I do anyway. I think each singer finds his and her own way to make these things happen, but you do it through copying others and through good technique as well. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you next time.